Hello, dear friends. I am Dr. John Panicker, Senior ENT Consultant in Kerala, Trivandrum. I am sure many of you are having allergy related problems. Either it will be a sneezing, irritation in the throat, asthma or something like that. And I am sure you have experienced most of your time these symptoms come in the early morning or late night. Have you ever thought of why it is happening? This is what I am talking today. We should know that allergy is an abnormal immune reaction. Normally, when a virus, bacteria, pollen grains or any other substance, small particles enter our nose or throat, the normal immune reaction happens through immunoglobulin A, immunoglobulin G and immunoglobulin M. But in allergy persons, when these substances, even if it is harmless, and a reaction develops through production of the immunoglobulin E, IgE, it is called IgE. This IgE activate a chemical reaction in which certain substances are formed like histamine, serotonin and all these things. Most of the symptoms are because of these products, histamine and serotonin like products. So, why this immunoglobulin E, IgE reaction happens? It is mainly because of certain genetic factor. Normally, in a normal person, if you have a normal immune system, when any of these things enter your body, the body will identify whether it is harmful or harmless. If it is a harmful thing like virus or bacteria, harmful bacteria, then the immune IgG, IgA is always there in the secretions in the throat and saliva and all these things. So, these antibodies IgA, IgG and IgM, all these develop and deactivate these antigens, these foreign substances. But if it is a harmless thing like pollen grains or dust and a normal dust, nothing will happen. The body will not react. But in allergic persons, there is a reaction even for a normally harmless things like house dust, pollen grains and all this. And as I mentioned earlier, the immune system is not very powerful, so that will actually work through IgE. So, that is the basic reason for allergy type of reactions. And as I mentioned earlier, this is mainly because of your genetic factor. There are other reasons also for developing, especially if there is a genetic susceptibility. Stress is a very, very important thing. When you are under great stress, you will have more of allergic reaction. Similarly, if your sleep is very low, when the sleep is affected, your immune system will be weak and the abnormal immune system will be working and allergy will be there. And even certain weather changes, if in a very cold climate or if you are sweating too much, again you can develop allergic reaction. So, these are the reasons for normal allergic reactions. And when a particle enters the nose, the first activity will be to sneeze, and that is why we are and when there is an allergic reaction, the sneezing will be enormous. There can be multiple sneezing. Now, why this is happening more in the late night and early morning? That is, again, there are 3-4 reasons for that. The number one reason is your immune system is probably the weakest in the late night and early morning, because that is the time the immune system is taking rest. At that time, if some reactions are happening in your body, some allergens or pollen grains, or similarly pollen grains and all these things enter your body, the immune system will not be able to cope up with that. So, what happens is the IgE mechanism will be activated and there will be sneezing and all this. Even it can go in for a asthma type symptoms also. That is number one. Number two, there is another reason also for that. That is because we have inbuilt mechanism to control the allergic reactions to a particular level. That is through our hormones in the body, mainly cortisol, steroid hormones, and also adrenaline. This level of our level of hormones, this cortisol and adrenaline, they are called otherwise called stress hormones. This will be the lowest during the late night and early morning. So when an allergic reaction is happening, our hormonal system is also not ready to cope up with that. So that is the one reason why we are having more symptoms in the early morning. There are other things also, especially during the night you are always spending the time more in the bedroom, maybe 10 hours, 12 hours or 14 hours, even 14 hours. One of the main allergen which produce allergic reaction is our house dust, because the house will be having a lot of mites, cockroach, all these things, and their excreta will be there in the air, and most of these are organic dust. Generally we should understand that allergic rhinitis or sneezing and all this happens mainly to organic substances. So this house dust, when you are sleeping in the bedroom, you are having contact with the allergens for longer time, maybe as I mentioned 8 hours or 10 hours. So at that time the level of the allergen in your body coming inside the nose and all these things will be high also. And that is why when you are suddenly getting up in the early morning, you start sneezing. Already the allergens are there inside the body. When you are going out, the chance is much less. So that is the third thing. Finally, another reason is also there, because we know the weather. Normally the temperature in the early morning or late night will be very low. So cold climate is always affect your immune system, and that is why you have more sneezing and allergic reactions in the early morning. So these are the 4 reasons. If you are an allergic person with sneezing, asthma and all, you should minimum sleep 8 hours. Your bedroom should be as neat as possible, and you try to wake up a little late, never before 6 o'clock in the morning, because that is the time your immune system is very weak. So these things are very important. By probably by observing these 3 things, you can avoid the early morning sneezing to a great degree, to a great level. I think by this you have understood why we are sneezing more in the early morning and how to avoid that. Thank you very much. Thank you.